who pay for it through their taxes.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, if ever there was a debate whose title was somewhat of a misnomer, it's this, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because it should be entitled "The Failure to Implement Universal Credit." But then failure is pretty much par for the course for the Department of Work and Pensions, certainly in the implementations of their policies for the benefit of benefit claimants and for the benefit of the taxpayer by reducing costs. My right honourable friend, the chair of the Select Committee, has detailed the fantastic amounts of public money that have already been lost in a failed IT system. She's also touched on the unwillingness for ministers in the Department of Work and Pensions to actually answer questions from the Select Committee. I would just point out in passing, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that every Select Committee is appointed by this House of Commons, and its sole purpose, any Select Committee's sole purpose for existence, is to scrutinise the particular department whose name they bear. We have seen the constant failure, if we look at the work capability assessment, for example. Upon 4 occasions, Professor Harrington has attempted to ameliorate the agonies which individuals who are subjected to the work capability assessment have put through, and we are still, I am pretty certain this across the House, receiving letters from our constituents detailing the humiliating experiences. There is also something, I think, really, really serious here, in as much that an individual claimant can actually be sanctioned for failing to attend a work capability assessment, and we've all had examples presented to us by constituents of either the letter detailing when the appointment would take place arriving 2, sometimes even 3 days after the specific date, or turning up for the work capability assessment and being told by the assessors, "Oh, sorry, we can't take any more people today."
Well, my honourable friend away.
Of course.
I'm very grateful to my honourable friend, who as usual is making a passionate speech. I've mentioned this before, but one of my constituents was actually sanctioned for having a heart attack during his work capability assessment. He was told by the nurse undertaking it that he was having this heart attack, but he was still sanctioned.
Glenda Jackson.
It's not usual for me to be gobsmacked, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but I certainly am by that story, even though I do have constituents not necessarily experiencing heart attacks, but equally have had absolutely disgraceful treatment. We're also seeing appeals for ESA rising, and those appeals that have been lodged are taking longer and longer to come to a conclusion. I won't go into the whole debacle of PIP. It is simply scandalous that some of the most vulnerable people in our society, whom the Department for Work and Pensions are supposed to be assisting, are being left in many instances with no financial support whatsoever. And to add insult to injury, this government has already also reduced funding to local authorities. Many local authorities were absolutely central to ensuring people with disabilities could live human, productive lives. The money has been taken away. But the points that I really wanted to concentrate on, and I hope to bring home to the Chamber the absolute chaos that is out there at the moment, is on the issue of the kind of questioning which an individual claimant has to go through, and the kind of questioning to which the Secretary of State responds. It's very clear that he obviously is burdened with delusions of adequacy, but I do think some of the responses that he made to my right honourable friend, as I've already said, the chair of the Select Committee, on his last meeting in front of us, were absolutely disgraceful. The example that I wish to give, Mr. Deputy Speaker, of the experience of an individual claimant, a 71-year-old pensioner dubbed by HMRC to be self-employed, applying for housing benefit. It has taken up to now 17 weeks, Mr. Deputy Speaker, and still there is no final cut-off point where she has been assured that she will receive housing benefit. The most recent inquiry that came to her was to detail the cost of a bill of £3.40 The second was for a bill, a cost of £7.47p, both of these claims taking place in 2012. The mind boggles at this when the Secretary of State, who, as I've already said, has lost millions and millions of pounds upon a failed IT system, has categorically refused to give the Select Committee any details whatsoever about his newly trumpeted business plan, either to the actual costs of that business plan or whether there will be any direct savings either to the taxpayer or to the overarching benefit system. It is an absolute disgrace that the Select Committee, as I've already said, appointed to scrutinise the Department for Work and Pensions, is being buffeted away. It seems to me that the department is opting for some kind of bunker mentality. Well, it won't work. They also, of course.
Well, friend, for giving way, she's making a powerful case. I wonder if she was surprised, as I was, to learn in the evidence this afternoon from Sir Bob Kerslake to the Public Accounts Committee that the business case that she's just mentioned, according to the report in front of us due to be finalised by the end of April this year, has still not been agreed by Her Majesty's Treasury.
Well, Mr Deputy Speaker, I'm sure my right honourable friend, and I would hope every member of this House, would be shocked to realise that the Department of Work and Pensions is still not giving the right... I was about to say the right answer. That would be ludicrous to expect the right answer to come from the Department of Work and Pensions, simple humility not being part and parcel of their makeup, but that the actual committees and government departments who scrutinise where public money goes are being, as I've said, pushed to one side. I've already referred to the kind of bunker mentality that is growing, but the example he gives me is just par for the course. This happens constantly. And the arguments that are not even being put up, we're all being told, oh, no, it's none of your business, it's our business. My right honourable friend, the chair of the Select Committee, has given details of the actual answers. But there is a pattern to this, which I find very, very disturbing. I've already touched upon the issues of discarding any serious questioning about the actual costs. But ever since this major benefit change came into being, the department employed what I call a programme of black propaganda, Mr Deputy Speaker. And every single one of the red tops took it up and ran with it with glee. And that black propaganda was to say to the people of this country, anyone who's claiming benefits, anyone is actually claiming benefits, I'm paraphrasing, of course, the DWP would never be this cogent, I think. Everybody is claiming benefits because they're too lazy to want to work. Nothing could be further from the truth. I've already touched upon the agonies that are being endured by people with serious mental and physical disabilities. And this pattern is still ongoing. There was a report only last week from the Office for National Statistics. They scrutinise all government departments on the level of complaints that are levelled to those departments on the issue of misuse of statistics. And guess, Mr Deputy Speaker, who came top of the list? It is the Department for Work and Pensions. And the Select Committee, over all the time that I have been there, has raised this issue again and again and again of the misuse of stats, of the misuse of the English language, to proselytise this black propaganda, and again to confuse and distort what should be central to its concerns, and that is the well-being of the people who require benefits, not because they're lazy, not because they're work-shy, not even because there aren't the jobs there, but because they should be, and have always in the past, been supported by the people of this country. And I was very touched to receive, as I did post the last debate on this issue, a response from the people of this country. If there is a silver lining to the black cloud, which in my opinion is the Department of Work and Pensions, Mr Deputy Speaker, is that the majority of people out there in the country still believe that a welfare state should be what it was meant to be, and that is supportive of people who, through no fault of their own, cannot maintain themselves without the support of the rest of us. That support is alive and well out there in the country. The one certain place that it is dead, it is within the Department for Work and Pensions.
Anne-Marie Morris.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I think we have an interesting debate here, and I think the first thing I would like to do is actually pay tribute to the chair of the Select Committee on which I sit, because I think the lady from representing Aberdeen South does a fantastic job, and in her opening remarks, I felt, actually painted a very good picture with all the facts set out. But I think one of the things we have to recognise is this is a very complex area, and actually government, opposition of all political flavours over the last few decades and decades and decades have all contributed to this challenge. Many well-meaning to try to resolve all of these problems, and at the end of the day, simplicity is a great objective, but it's probably one of the hardest to actually deliver on. And listening to the debate so far, there is an interesting challenge as to whether you look at all the facts as a glass half full or a glass half empty. Now, I think we've had a couple of contributions from the opposition that very much look at it as a glass half empty. But I think I might remind the Chamber that in terms of the glass half full, the one thing that we do all have in common is that both parties have said that they believe that universal credit is the right way to go. And we need also to be mindful that the point and purpose of a select committee is not, frustrating as it is, to look at what's right and what's working. We never look at that. The bit that we look at, rightly so, is the bit where it isn't working and needs improvement. It's absolutely right that we should ensure, as the previous speaker said, that those who are vulnerable really get the help they need. Because I, along with the Honourable Lady, equally get constituents coming into my surgery who have not had fair treatment at the hands of the Department for Work and Pensions. But this is a problem which has been growing over years and years and years. So I think it is actually to the credit of this government that it has tried for the first time in 60 years to consolidate and pull it together and simplify it so it works better for the future.
I'm very grateful to the Honourable Lady, but I think the flaw in her argument is that the Select Committee has been consistent from both sides. There's been complete cross-party unity here in presenting to the Department of Work and Pensions those areas where we believe improvements could be made, and in many instances forwarding the idea of what that kind of help would be. And there has been a consistent response, and that response from the Department has been total rejection.
The Honourable Lady is right that together